Hello fellow friends and family, my name is Josh and welcome back to another video. I may be 2 years late talking about this game, but who cares? God of War is a fantastic game and has probably one of the best combat systems I've ever experienced, and this especially becomes a joy when fighting against the bosses. The bosses in this game are truly action-packed, and even though some are reskins like the trolls and stuff, they're still fun to clobber with my weapons, whether it may be the leviathan axe, the chaos blades, or my barefists. I mean, honestly, let's just get right into the point. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoy my top 5 favorite bosses in God of War. Number 5 are Grendel of the Frost and Grendel of the Ash. Out of all the trolls, these two were my favorite. They have this shared health bar mechanic similar to that of Frida and Ariandel in Dark Souls 3, but with a small twist. So basically the way it works, it's like a seesaw, right? One loses health to feed the other, and then it switches back and forth. So you're kind of forced to fight both at the same time, which is really neat because usually you just kind of focus on one boss and then go to the other one, but switching back and forth between the two is a nice different kind of pacing. I mean, there's really not much else to them, they're just kind of like regular trolls, except that there's 2 of them. I mean, it gives me more to juggle, and it makes what would be an easy fight more moderate, because trolls by themselves are really not that hard this far into the game. Something that feels so good in this game, honestly, is taking down huge monsters, and there really isn't enough of that, but that's just personal preference. Number 4 are Magni and Modi. Besides being the gods of your mother jokes, the Sons of Thor are a really fun fight. Not like super challenging, just fun to use as a punching bag. Or should I say, axe, bag. Alright. You would think, oh, gank boss, because there's 2 of them, but Atreus surprisingly attracts the attention of Modi, so I usually just focus on Magni, which is really cool. Between the phases, Magni smacks Modi's shield, and it becomes this kind of weird game of hide and seek, which is a nice break in between the fight and phases. As gods, though, they really didn't stick out as much as I wanted them to. At least for me, they didn't. I mean, I get it, they're side characters, I just wish they had more involvement. However, their fight was definitely one of my favorites. I mean, that's why it's number 4. Number 3 are Boulder and Freya, the final boss in the main story, and what a boss fight it is. From Freya constantly trapping Kratos and Boulder in her roots, from Boulder's 2 forms, allowing you to use both weapons, from the huge giant in the background, this boss has it all. And it really never feels overcrowded, which is surprising with all that's going on. And the best way I would put it is, Freya is the Atreus to Boulder. That's what I think. From your first encounter with Boulder, you only had the basic combat skills available, and he was only known as the Stranger. But now with a new weapon and plenty of new attacks, as well as runics to use, you have, in a sense, evolved, and makes the fight all the more entertaining. The story between the 2, mother and son, is actually really interesting because I've never seen anything like it. Wishing for nothing to hurt her son, but in the process, Boulder has become numb to anything, and ironically, is hurting more on the inside. However, Atreus fixes this problem with a wicked arrow in the hand. And it's really cool to see like the spell sort of dissipate into thin air, because now he's vulnerable and you can kill him. It's also important to note that Atreus has become much stronger at this point, and it feels like he's more in tune with his father. Bouncing between Kratos and Atreus, kicking and punching Boulder was freaking awesome, and honestly gave me the chills when I first did it. And it made me love the characters even more. In the end, like, snapping his neck was a bit of a downgrade towards other kills, like an axe to the face, but this also goes to show the character development of Kratos. I mean, not specifically him snapping Boulder's neck, but him trying to prevent Boulder going down his path of vengeance in the first place. And it's this side of Kratos that we don't really see, but it's very charming when you do. Honestly, this entire scene, entire fight, it's just a good time. At number 2, we have the Valkyrie Queen. Ironically, the first boss where it's just her, there's no other support, which is weird for me to say that. A bloodborne level of difficulty. This boss took all of my power to defeat in around, I would say, 2 hours, maybe a little bit more, I can't remember. The Valkyrie Queen has all the abilities of the previous Valkyries: ice, fire, shielded wings, swoops, dives, everything. But this is what really made her difficult for me. First off, her damage is ridiculous, and maybe I was a bit underleveled, but that would have to be like another hour and a half to get better armor, and I just wasn't all about that. So in the meantime, I was getting wrecked pretty much more than half my health with those 3 stomps and things like that. It wasn't fun, I will tell you that. It was not fun at all. The other thing is this unblockable wing attack, that specific move. For me, she likes to spam it, and she'll either do it mid-combo, which it's easier to dodge because I kind of expect it, or sometimes she'll just do it out of nowhere, which then it's like, that's really, because she's super quick with it, and I can't react in time. She also has these mixed up combos, so like sometimes she'll do the unblockable wing attack, other times she'll do blockable like wing fury swipes, whatever you want to call it, but the timing to dodge her unblockable is so precise, I kind of just do it anyway, just in case, and usually it doesn't end well if she does the other move, because then it just hits me and it's like, frick. With all this in mind, I had to muster up every bit of skill to take down this boss, and since the combat in this game is very complex, this fight really molded me in a different way on how to use the abilities I had. This is also the first and pretty much only boss where some strategies were used, because it was kind of necessary at this point. The first thing I used was the realm shift, and if you don't know, it basically slows down time for a few seconds, and so I used this defensively, right? So if I was low in health, or if I was in a bad position, I would realm shift, and then I would either go into Spartan Rage to gain some health and do some damage, or if I had a lot of healing stones around the area, I would use that time to go pick them up. There's also like an open counter for a runic attack after she does her combos, and I would keep the chain going with the wolves, so that would stun lock her, followed up by more attacks, whether it was runics or just regular combos I would like to do. And that's just a couple things that I did, but man, was it very gruesome indeed. And I feel like I almost had to be flawless with how much damage she could do and how fast she could dish it out. But finally, after a couple of hours, I beat her, and it truly was a glorious moment. And number 1 is the Heralazer, the dragon boss, whatever. Call it bias, but my affinity towards huge bosses, beasts, and dragons, it can't be ignored. And since this is the only gargantuan creature that you can fight, he's become one of my favorite. And let me start off by defending myself with stating the issues I had. Okay, not necessarily issues, but the things that prevented the other last 2 bosses from going higher. Boulder and Freya were amazing, don't get me wrong, and the character development shown between Kratos and Atreus, it really gave me chills, I'm not gonna lie. But lore and story are not as important as the actual fight itself. Mother and son fighting against you, but not for the same reason. Freya was just trying to prevent the fight in general, and Boulder just wanted to kill you. It was an interesting thing, don't get me wrong. But again, what I prioritize is how they deal with it in battle. Now, I'm not saying story is important, of course it is, but it doesn't blind me to what I'm truly looking for, and that's combat. The Valkyrie Queen provided an amazing challenge that rivaled a lot of bosses in the Soulsborne series, but there's a curse and a blessing to that. Soulsborne games are difficult throughout the entire game, and facing bosses that make you scream your head off is a part of the experience. In God of War, going from relatively really easy bosses to a downright raging challenge where I was sweating was personally not a really good transition for me. And after defeating her, I did say it was satisfying, but honestly, it wasn't really a satisfying feeling as much as I wanted it to be. It was more of a thank my trembling hands that this is all over. Obviously, she's still an awesome boss. That's why she's number 2, but those setbacks don't make her number 1, obviously. The dragon may not be as intense as the Valkyrie or as meaningful to the story as Boulder and Freya, but the satisfaction and aesthetic tone of this dragon is just amazing. Jumping into the dragon's mouth to slice it up like it's Fruit Ninja. No, that's not a good joke. Whatever, it's like it's something to be sliced up with. Throwing sparky boom crystals into its mouth to create an explosive reaction with its pure electric energy beams is downright fantastic. And honestly, this fight feels so smooth, with the dragon changing positions, and you feel like a god taking down this mythical creature. Not that you don't with the other bosses, but I felt more so here. And the music definitely helps. This was the first time I'd noticed the soundtrack and how good it was. And it's probably one of my favorite soundtracks. I just love the way it sounds. And besides Magni taking immediate brain surgery and performing a wing cleansing ritual on the Valkyries, Using the claw to force the dragon towards a protruding razor-sharp rock that explodes within its neck was the best kill I've seen in this game. Brute size, explosive power, effective counters, and an amazing conclusion to the fight makes this dragon my favorite boss in God of War. Fellow friends and family, thank you so much for watching today's video. Please, if you've played this game, tell me about your experiences with the bosses, and if you want to dispute my ranking, go for it, I don't mind. Tell me what you think, why I suck at the game, or whatever, I don't care. And also, stay tuned for more videos. I will be making a couple more God of War, not like God of War videos like altogether, but I will be including this game more often. And I am currently playing through Devil May Cry 5, so I'll definitely be making my favorite bosses from that game. I'm really excited to play it. I'm actually going to play it right after I finish recording this. And yeah, so be sure to subscribe for more content like this, and I'll see you in the next video.